Hello everyone and welcome to another Shadowlands Shaman video. In today's video we're going to be discussing the changes to the Shaman class over the last couple weeks. The last couple of builds have actually brought a lot of changes specifically to the Enhancement Shaman, but there has also been a few notable Elemental Shaman changes. Want to check out the blue posts and the class changes yourself? I'll be leaving the link to the Wowhead articles down below where you guys can check that out. Just a heads up as well, if you guys like the content that I'm putting out on YouTube, go ahead and consider subscribing, liking the video, and commenting down below what you guys think about the changes really helps, as well as checking out my Twitter and Twitch social medias where I stream on Twitch every day after 4 p.m. EST. And if you guys want to support my content here on YouTube, consider looking at my Patreon page, which I'll be leaving the link down below. Okay, so let's get into the video. To start off with the Elemental Shaman changes, Echoing Shock can no longer duplicate the Venthyr Covenant ability Chain Harvest. Blizzard seems to have felt that the strength of the two combined was just a little too strong, so the interaction has been disabled. Chain Harvest was also nerfed quite significantly and back in a recent build in the last couple weeks. So many players actually already opted to go away from the Venthyr Covenant. This change also just gives more confidence in those players making that choice. Lava Surge proc chance has been reduced from 15% down to 10%. Many elemental players, including myself, think that this was a little bit of a misguided change, and Blizzard is targeting more of a Shadowlands pre-patch elemental power than it is during the Shadowlands actual endgame, because in pre-patch, we still have access to Igneous Potential, bringing our Lava Surge proc chance up to 18% for Elemental. And currently in the pre-patch, it's a lot of Lava Surge procs. Of course, when we level through Shadowlands, we're not going to have this trait anymore, so reducing the power of Lava Surge already by losing that trait, and then an additional 5% proc chance, it feels like a little bit too much. So we could see them revert this change or reduce the amount of the nerf that happened, but only time will tell. Deeply Rooted Elements Legendary has also had its proc chance increased from 5% to 7% for Elemental and 8% for Enhancement, but it seems still a little bit too low of a proc chance, especially with the recent nerf to Lava Surge. The Elemental Equilibrium Legendary has received a slight rework, actually, and now only has 1 damage increasing value aside instead of like all the 3 different types based off of the spell that you were using, and activates now when you cast a Frost, Nature, and Fire direct damaging ability within 10 seconds of each other. The damage increase can also be activated by just using 1 spell, either Echoing Shock talent or Elemental Blast talent, since those 2 spells use all 3 magic schools. Now, let's go over to the enhancement changes. Talking about Enhancement Shaman now, a couple of weeks ago they received a change to their Wind Fury weapon proc damage that has been slightly nerfed, as well as the Doomwind's Legendary received a big nerf from 100% increased Wind Fury damage down to 25% increased Wind Fury damage for the duration of the buff. For the most recent patch, Enhancement received a lot of talent changes along with a Spirit Wolf, major cooldown change, and a little bit of the power of our Spender spells for Maelstrom weapon stacks. So Blizzard has dialed back on a change that they did a little while ago when they reduced the effectiveness of our Spender spells by 50%. This negative 50% has been since changed to negative 35%. So this should increase the value of our Spender spells, along with just increasing its priority of when we want to use those spells. Feral Spirits has also got its attack power scaling increased by 250%, which makes it feel a little bit more like a major cooldown and less of a hindrance when pressing the button. There's also some legendary effects and talents that go along with this major cooldown, so we're going to see it just bumped up a little bit on its usage. Many of our talents have also been tuned, so we're going to talk about that now. The Forceful Winds talent damage bonus per stack has been reduced from 50% to 35%, and Blizzard seems to be targeting the effectiveness of Wind Fury weapon damage in these recent patches, quite a lot, and that is because it is doing significantly more damage than Flame Tongue Weapon does, and that is basically because of the proc that you can get from Doom Winds. As soon as you drop your Wind Fury totem, just proc Doom Winds, increasing your Wind Fury damage, and you 100% chance to proc Wind Fury for that 12 seconds, as well as the Unruly Winds Potency Conduit, which gives your Wind Fury a chance to trigger a third attack. So yeah, Wind Fury is kind of big right now. It's doing a lot of whammy damage. Ice Strike's damage has also been increased by 75%. Now this talent is still going to have some scaling issues because the more haste that we get, obviously the lower cooldown our Shock's base cooldown is, and it's going to get to a point where the talent Ice Strike itself is just going to become obsolete based off of how much haste we have. It could just be a hindrance of using the ability because in 3 seconds we're going to have a Shock come off cooldown anyway, and during the GCD you want to be casting other spells anyway. So Ice Strike's going to have scaling issues. Enough said there. The Lashing Flames talent has had its debuff duration buffed from 12 seconds to 20 seconds. Now this change will be an interesting one, as you can spread your Lava Lash debuffs and Flame Shocks to multiple targets with the Hot Hand talent along with Lashing Flames, and the combination of the two is actually quite satisfying to see how high you can get your Flame Shock damage to be going. I recommend trying it out on your own. Hot Hand has also got a change to where it now resets the cooldown on Lava Lash when the ability procs. Elemental Blast has received a damage increase of 25% for Enhancement Shamans only. Sorry, Ellie Shamans, you still can't use the talent. No, I'm joking. You can probably still use Elemental Blast. Hailstorm has gotten a damage reduction on your Frost Shock bonus by 35% down to 15%. Now, Hailstorm was outperforming all the talents on either row or on that row for any situation before, so this nerf could... I mean, it was welcome. This nerf was definitely welcome. It was doing way too much damage for both single target and AoE. So we could see the other talents on that row now come into play. Speaking of the other talents, Fire Nova has gotten a damage increase by 75%. So we could see a Fire Nova play style with Hot Hand and Lashing Flames thrown in there somehow. But yeah. Big changes to those kind of talents. There also has been a change to Night Fae Covenant Conduit, Essential Extraction. It now reduces the cooldown of Night Fae's Covenant ability Fae Transfusion from 25 seconds up to 40 seconds, depending on the conduit rank. And there also was a change to the Fae Transfusion Covenant ability, whereas the ability grants 3 stacks of Maelstrom Weapon when fully channeled, up from 1 stack. It used to only give you 1 stack. So these are really great changes, obviously with the recent nerfs to the Venthyr Covenant Chain Harvest, both in the damage that it dealt and the Echoing Shock nerf. We could just see a lot of Shamans move over to Night Fae, especially Enhancement Shamans, now that we have a lot more of synergies between the Covenant ability and what it does for your baseline toolkit. There seems to be a lot of focus on Enhancement Shaman talent balancing and not a whole lot of focus on Elemental Shaman, which is a little disheartening to see, especially since we're only 2 weeks away from the launch at this point. However, I have gotten from a friend of mine some great information that Elemental Shamans are performing pretty decent in the Mythic Raid testing that was happening over the course of Friday. So that's great to hear, but still, we're not that great in Mythic Plus, especially compared to the powerhouses of mages and warlocks and hunters. So Shadowlands is launching in 2 weeks. Hopefully Blizzard will give Elemental just a little bit more attention these next couple weeks, as there are still a lot of things with the spec that we have issues with, like the Flame Shock CD and duration, crit and mastery stats scaling problems, whereas crit doesn't scale with Lava Burst unless you're talented into Ascendance, and your mastery only affects your builder spells and not your spender spells, whereas the more mastery you stack, the less it becomes valuable, because you end up casting more spender spells than builder spells, and mastery doesn't affect spender spells. So yeah, you see where I'm going. Mastery does not scale very well. As well as Echo of the Elements and Stormkeeper wanting to be baseline for so very long, Blizzard. Just to name a few problems that we have. Anyway, I decided to bundle the last 2 weeks of changes into one video since there wasn't a whole lot of changes the following week to this one, or the prior week of changes that happened before this one. So if you like the content that I'm putting out, drop a sub to the channel, like the video if you like it, comment down below what you guys think of the awesome enhancement changes and what you think of the bad elemental changes. But if you guys like it, consider supporting my Patreon page. The link will be down below in the description of the video. I'll also be leaving the link to my Twitter and Twitch, where you guys can check that stuff out, in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, keep calm and Maelstrom on. Bye-bye.